fallen early wound up being a pivotal moment in my life. And I think many can relate to this. Either going through like a midlife crisis, divorce, separation. I can relate to from others that myself there. At one point, I gave up my career. I gave up a wondrous career as a commercial pilot. And for others, they may go out and they get their sport bikes, or they get their sports cars, or you get their powerboat, whatever it is to recharge their own life with it. And I'm recording this because when things fall apart, and at one point everything fell apart for me, it wasn't intentional. I found out that we are as a spiritual being living a physical life, and the universe, Mother Nature, Mother Gaia, whatever you like to call it, it all has natural laws. And if these laws are not adhered to, at one point things are going to fall apart. So much like when a person goes to school, when we learn an apprenticeship, we learn a skill set, whatever it is, when a person's good at it, we get very, very good at it. And when there's something inside of me that's either weak or something that they need to address, at one point either that pillar on the inside is even unbuckled, it's going to give out, or when it does give out, it gives me the opportunity to go back in and say, okay, Stephen, what can I do doing this again, but doing this in a smart way? And I share this humbly because I remember reading this book, there was a particular paragraph that I was reading where it was stating that the karma was always hanging around the corner, and I had no idea what that karma meant. And I found out that there's a law of giving and receiving, and what a person gives, what you put out, comes back in another way. And Mother Nature gives freely to those that really work the tail off. And for others, as like low-hanging fruit or as a parasite, at one point, that's gonna dissolve, because the universe is not going to support something like that. And I'm sharing this because it's something that I had to go through. So, as tough as I thought were certain losses or certain like massive downfalls, there were pivotal moments to address that, hey, the game's not over. And I had really counted my blessings that had happened to me at a younger age instead of happening later on, or masking it. Masking it would be a better word with this. If I was in my 50s or 60s, and then I would have been caught up like a lot of others with the house, the career, the six-figure job, being that semi-retirement type phase, and traveling and doing all the good things in this physical world that we're all learning to or aspiring to be. And well, I'll share with you, the universe has got something else in mind, and it's not about the intellect, how smart, or the amount of money that's involved with it, or what a person's accumulated. That we show up here as a spiritual being. And when I showed up here, I had some tough experiences, and I said, okay, I can handle this. And I kept motoring through it, and I masked it as a form of protection. And everyone goes through this. If they haven't gone through it, well, I say either got very, very privileged, or maybe at one point in life, like myself here, when I did go through it, man, it was painful. So humanity right now is going through a massive shift. So I'm recording this that as we're transitioning from this 3D into the 5D, in order to elevate into a higher consciousness, it's important at one point to let go of whatever it is. And I'm grateful and thankful, as painful as it was when I had to walk away from my dream job as a pilot. Oh man, I cried. That's all, I'll leave it like that. That was close to about 15 years or so of working. And what I learned from it is that it was essential that the foundation, the stability, had to be anchored in properly, and especially from childhood. And if that wasn't dealt with properly, the whole thing at one point, the whole thing had to come down. So I said, thank you, universe. Thank you for showing me something that I was not aware of. And I required at one point somebody from the outside pulling me out. And there's an expression from Les Brown that If you're inside of the picture frame, you'll never see a way out of it. And until somebody pulled me out of the picture frame and I was able to see it from an outside perspective, then I'm like, oh my God, I had no idea. And I knew of it at one point that things were mastered that I had mastered very, very well. And then when I came to terms with it, I'm like, okay, I'm aware of it now. What's the next step? So the next step is either I deal with it, or if I swept underneath the rug, that thing, whatever that was on the plate, was going to come around full circle some other way. So I'd say, okay, this is well beyond college or university. I'm now in with the universe of this. Being with an open mind with this. I'm going to call it universe, source, the creator and such. And it was an eye-opener. It was really, really an eye-opener. So I'm sharing that if you're going through a tough experience and thinking, man, I lost a good thing, or it was a devastating situation, or what I've seen is in years later, that affects a lot of people in their health. And that was sobering. That really, 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 that changed a lot of things in my life. Because there are certain people that when I was working with at the time, great work ethic, great personality, they were great to be around. And all of a sudden one day you find out that for me, they were no longer here. And in the back of my mind, I was already thinking the same thing, that yeah, I could have been as a captain or doing whatever I was doing. And I knew that, hey, energy's energy, so the energy doesn't lie. So whatever I felt on the inside, I realized, I got to cut this. So it's not that we're living in this physical world. Yes, there's another side of us. This is the etherical part, or the astral part. And when I started going into this part, I started to unplug all that emotional tension, all the emotional stress. That was the Achilles heel at one point. And when things came down, the whole thing came down. And then when the universe gave me a reset, or an opportunity to really reevaluate my life, and without jeopardizing it, I took things to heart and I said, okay, I've done things to the best of my ability. I'm willing now to do something else. And key with this is, it's the soul. The soul was watching me for the first 35 years, and I wasn't being the change. I was doing something with embracing or doing something else. So I had to take a lot of drastic and immediate actions to do something else. So when that experience happened, thank God it did happen the way that it happened, and I started meeting the right people, started getting the right, and started cutting the old soul agreements, and that was a tough one. Every one of us were all showing up here with well-chosen parents, the culture, the religion, the background, and humanity collectively. We're all going through something very, very similar, and it can be covered or described in a different way, in a different language, flavored in a different sauce. Underneath all of it, it all has the same energy: grief, shame, sadness, anger, grief, things that are not expressed. And it's something that a lot of this is not public. A lot of this is not public. And at one point, when a person either gets sick, or when the soul puts up an ultimatum, or when the soul, depending on the souls, it's going to step on some toes here. When the soul decides at one point to bring a person down to their knees, I knew at the time for me, when things got down to the crunch and I had to make a lot of tough decisions, and I had to step back from many things, and I'm like, is this serving me, or am I willing to let it go? I made my choices and decisions very, very carefully after that, where I'm like, I'm not here to take my life for granted. I'm not here to take anything for granted. And I found out there was a soul that I made a promise to on the other side prior to showing up here, that I would go through the experience without being stuck by it, and then at one point freeing myself energetically with unplugging all this nonsense. So it was a cool experience. I wish for many others, and my intention is to see many others at one point, especially if you've gone through like a tough experience, to say, hey, thank you for showing me that, because we're all coming here to have a physical experience, but without being stuck by it. And the moment we unplug it, it's better having an experience for for a couple of years, then having that experience and overextending it for 20, 30, for many others 40 or 50 years. And then from that one experience, we didn't want to drag that out too long. So we're in a cool 5D consciousness and 5D energy. So if this resonates with you, like, comment, or share. And if you have any concerns with it, just send me a message, and I'm happy to reach out to you. Thank you for today. Be kind with yourself, treat each other well. Until next time, take care.